Here on the Colour of Country Life, good to be catching up with Meat and Livestock Australia's Senior Market Information Analyst, Ripley Atkinson. How are you going, Ripley?
Good, Ricky, good. Thanks for having me.
A pleasure, and in fact, there's been a whole lot of conversation here on Flow and elsewhere as well about concerns on biosecurity in Indonesia, and it just so happens you've just been over there.
I have, that's correct, Ricky. Yeah, I returned around a month ago.
Yeah, and you chucked out your thongs?
Certainly did. They didn't make it anywhere near that airport.
Yep, and you've been involved at a conference there, just sharing some of your views on what's happening with the broader cattle market, I imagine.
Yeah, so around a month ago, MLA released their cattle projections, their June release of cattle projections, presenting on the positivity and what that's looking like for the next 12 months to 2 years. Yeah.
And I gather, just touching on this one, the live export indicator, Meat and Livestock Australia, that came back online not that long ago, but then it's just had to be sort of put on pause for a while, partly because of low volumes?
Yeah, that's right. So the subdued trading activity at the minute and those low volumes and the reduced throughput of cattle going through that indicator means we're reporting it now on an ad hoc basis, and that will continue to occur until we see that throughput or the volume of cattle in the indicator increase, which allows the integrity and the reliability of that indicator to really reflect what's going on in the market.
Yeah, because that's an indicator based on sampled feeder male cattle prices for Indonesia ex-Darwin, so that's what made me think of it as naturally the way things are with the concerns about foot and mouth and lumpy skin, things are a bit more subdued in that market at the moment.
There's a number of dynamics. We know that cattle are still being exported to Indonesia, so the specification around the LEPI is obviously quite specific, and it doesn't incorporate all of those animals, and it is an indication. It's not an actual price. It's an indication of what the market's doing, and it doesn't incorporate all of those animals going over there. But there is still volume of cattle from Australia being exported to Indonesia.
Well, speaking of volume and prices, the Eastern Young Cattle Indicator has continued a downward trend. Let's just call it that one.
Yeah, no doubt. So in the past month, at the minute it's sitting at 9.78, which is 10 cents a kilo carcass weight lower than where it was 12 months ago, which is the first time we've seen the EYCI lower than where it was 12 months ago. And there really is a number of things contributing to that. So sales this week, particularly Roma and Dalby. Roma's yardings of EYCI-eligible cattle increased by 266% week on week. So they yarded 4,627 head, and that accounted for 33% of the total yarding. And Dalby was similar. Its numbers increased as well after a reduced week last week because of the rain, which impacted producers getting cattle off farm into the sale yards. And the quality and the mixed quality of cattle we're seeing in the markets, presented to the markets as well, Ricky, is contributing to that decline. Producers are becoming more specific and selective in the cattle they're choosing to purchase, dependent on the quality of the animal. And the wet conditions are affecting that. We know that it's been so wet and there's a lot of grass around, but a lot of that grass has a lot of moisture content, which means the finished quality of the animal isn't where as many producers would like it, and that's certainly contributing to the way we're seeing the EYCI perform.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff, but I guess as the old saying goes, what goes up goes down, or all good things come to an end, but there's still pretty healthy prices for cattle producers nonetheless.
Without a doubt, Ricky, and you look at the long-term average of the EYCI, in the last 5 years it's averaged 707 cents a kilo carcass weight. We're still sitting 271 cents a kilo carcass weight higher than what we were for the 5-year average. And back in the early 2000s, the overall EYCI price was at 270 cents. Yeah. So still well above the 5-year and what the longer term trend has been, you know.
Absolutely. Looking at the other main indicator for the sheep side of the equation, National Trade Lamb Indicator, if you drew a line, is generally trending downward, but I noticed some positive pricing at Corowa and Wagga in particular, small volumes in Corowa, but they seem to be leading the pack in terms of average prices.
Yeah, that's right. So at the minute, obviously, Wagga's had some good numbers flow through it. 4,021 head were yarded last week, and Wagga's sale will run again today. Even though you look at the broader trend of that national trade lamb indicator, it has been trending down since early September last year when it reached highs. We do generally see it pick up during this time of the year when throughout that winter period. And at the minute, that Wagga price is operating at a 37-cent premium to what the national price is. And even though Wagga's got that significant throughput, it still shows the demand for those trade lambs at the Wagga sale yards is really quite strong from buyers. And I think that's reflective of the global demand for Australian product as well at the minute. And Coral is in a similar situation, which is really quite positive to see on a broader sense.
Yeah, they'll always like finishing these reports on a positive note, and that sounds like a good one. Ripley, thanks very much for your input. Appreciate it today here on Flow.
As always, my pleasure, Ricky, and thanks for having me.